The story of GVE London begins with a glittering facade that seemed to redefine what a supercar dealership could be. Imagine walking into a spotless showroom in West London, where Lamborghinis sat under bright lights, Ferraris gleamed against polished floors, and salesmen in sharp suits projected an air of authority and success. For many car enthusiasts, this wasn't just another dealership. It looked like the ultimate destination for anyone dreaming of buying or selling a high-end machine. But behind the glamorous Instagram posts and glossy marketing campaigns, GVE London was quietly building something very different from the image it projected. Customers were told their prized vehicles were in safe hands, promised smooth sales and quick payouts, and dazzled with images of company leaders living the high life. Yet the more impressive the facade became, the more cracks started to show. What if the trusted model of consigning a car, handing it to a dealer to sell on your behalf, wasn't as secure as it appeared? What if the cars on display, the wealth flaunted online, and the confidence exuded by staff were all part of a much larger illusion? GVE London managed to convince not just a handful of clients, but an entire segment of the UK supercar market that it was the place to be. And for years, people believed it. Until suddenly, they didn't. This is the story of how GVE London created the illusion of invincibility, and how that illusion shattered. GVE London did not emerge as an overnight giant. Its origins trace back to what seemed like a scrappy but ambitious startup in the early 2010s, when the UK's luxury car market was experiencing a surge in popularity. London in particular had become a playground for wealthy international buyers, young entrepreneurs, and social media influencers eager to flash their success behind the wheel of a supercar. This was fertile ground for a dealership that promised both access and exclusivity. The founders of GVE positioned themselves as more than just car salesmen. They crafted an identity as enthusiasts who understood the language of speed, luxury, and aspiration. Their early moves were smart. They leaned heavily on social media platforms, showcasing a rotating fleet of exotic cars with polished photography and slick videos. Customers didn't just see cars. They saw a lifestyle being offered. For many, consigning a car through GVE meant plugging directly into this world of glamour. At first, the model seemed to work seamlessly. A client would leave a car with GVE, confident that the dealership's visibility and contacts would bring in buyers willing to pay top price. Those first few transactions built a reputation. Satisfied sellers got their payouts, buyers felt they were dealing with a trusted name, and the dealership's stock of luxury vehicles steadily grew. Each successful deal created a stronger sense of credibility. By 2015, GVE was no longer just a small outfit trying to make a mark. It had already begun to brand itself as a hub for London's supercar community, a place where enthusiasts could not only buy and sell, but also belong. Yet the very foundations of that credibility were built on fragile trust. And as more cars flowed in and more money passed through their hands, the seeds of a dangerous dependency were being sown. By the late 2019s, GVE London had successfully transformed its image from a modest player to one of the most talked-about supercar dealerships in Britain. The key to this rise lay in its clever use of the consignment model. Owners of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and McLarens, people who didn't want the hassle of finding buyers themselves, would leave their cars with GVE. The dealership promised to handle everything: marketing, negotiations, and final sales. The arrangement was enticing because sellers believed their vehicles were being showcased in one of the busiest and most prestigious luxury car hubs in the city. What clients didn't always see was how the cash flow worked behind the scenes. When GVE sold a car, instead of immediately paying the original owner, the proceeds often went towards settling older debts or funding the dealership's ongoing operations. Money from one deal was used to cover obligations from another, a system that functioned smoothly so long as the cycle never broke. To outsiders, the showroom looked like a booming business. In reality, It was balancing on a knife's edge. Meanwhile, GVE cultivated an image of unstoppable success. Their social media feeds became a highlight reel of million-pound cars, glamorous events, and celebrity endorsements. The owners posed alongside rare hypercars, traveled in luxury, and presented themselves as tastemakers in Britain's elite automotive circle. The message was clear. If you wanted your car to sell fast and for top value, this was the place to be. The strategy worked brilliantly to expand their reach. More clients flocked in, more cars filled the showroom, and GVE's reputation as a powerhouse of the UK supercar market solidified. Yet the bigger the operation grew, the more it depended on a delicate system of trust, appearances, and timing. The illusion of endless growth masked how just vulnerable the business really was. At the heart of GVE London's rise was a carefully crafted illusion. It wasn't just about selling cars. It was about manufacturing credibility, then leveraging that credibility into an engine of trust and capital. Each tactic they used added another layer to the illusion, making it harder for clients to see what was really happening. The first tactic was the aura of prestige. Walking into the dealership felt less like stepping into a business and more like entering a private club. The showroom gleamed, cars worth hundreds of thousands of pounds lined up under perfect lighting, and staff spoke with the confidence of seasoned experts. Everything, from the suits to the branding, suggested stability and professionalism. For many clients, appearances alone were enough to erase doubt. The second tactic involved the mechanics of the consignment model. On paper, it looked simple. You leave your car, GVE sells it, you get your money. In reality, the dealership often delayed payments, using the proceeds from one sale to cover obligations from an earlier one. This was a cash flow juggling act, resembling the structure of a Ponzi scheme, but camouflaged under the legitimacy of a luxury dealership. As long as cars kept coming in and buyers kept paying, the cycle held together. But if too many clients demanded payment at once, the structure could collapse. Third, there was the art of lifestyle branding. GVE's leadership understood the power of perception. They posted flashy images on Instagram, flaunting rare hypercars, and presented themselves as insiders to Britain's wealthiest circle. By associating themselves with luxury events and high-profile clients, they sold not just cars, but a narrative. We are the trusted gatekeepers of the supercar dream. This branding was critical in luring new clients, who equated visibility with legitimacy. Another tactic was exploiting customer psychology. Sellers of supercars often faced anxiety, the fear of depreciation, the stress of finding a buyer, the desire to move on to the next big car quickly. GVE promised convenience and top market value, reducing friction for sellers while capitalizing on their urgency. Buyers, too, felt reassured by the sheer number of cars in the showroom. Surely a business with so much stock must be solid. Few questioned how those cars ended up there or whether their owners had been fully paid. These tactics combined into a fragile but potent machine. Each satisfied customer added legitimacy. Each flashy Instagram post pulled in another client. Each delayed payment was hidden under the success of the next sale. For years, this cycle allowed GVE London to project strength and reliability, while its business model grew ever more unstable. The irony is that the very same tactics that propelled GVE's rise, prestige, lifestyle branding, and trust-based consignment, were the seeds of its downfall. When confidence cracked, there was nothing substantial holding the structure up. And when angry customers began demanding answers all at once, the illusion of invincibility finally gave way to chaos. The unraveling of GVE London has been as dramatic as its rise. What was once marketed as the largest independent supercar dealership in the UK has now become a cautionary tale plastered across headlines. In recent years, angry customers have shown up at the dealership's doors demanding either their money or their cars back. Stories of six-figure sums gone missing flooded forums and news outlets, with some clients claiming they were left waiting months or never paid at all after their cars were sold. The backlash reached a tipping point when the scale of unpaid debts could no longer be hidden. What began as isolated complaints turned into a collective revolt. Legal filings mounted, creditors lined up, and social media became a battlefield where GVE's reputation was shredded by furious former clients. The unpolished showroom became a symbol of broken promises, its glossy facade now seen as evidence of how appearances can mask deep financial rot. As of today, GVE London stands not as a beacon of prestige, but as a case study in failure. The dealership has been dragged through investigations, its director scrutinized, and its name permanently tarnished in the eyes of the very community it once courted.